Hi guys, welcome to day 3 of week 4, identifying functions from tables of values. So on Monday we did linear functions and absolute value functions. They both had to do with the first difference. Then on Tuesday we did quadratic function. It had to do with the second difference. So by now in your homework you should have all your linears done, all your absolute values done, all of your quadratics done, and then you have the rest of these tables that are like none of the first differences are the same, or second difference, and they're not absolute value. What do I do, lever check? Well, they could be an exponential function. That's what we're going to talk about today. Or they could be another. So let's talk about it. So an exponential function, what is that? So it has to do with the first difference. So the first difference is multiplied or divided by. So the first difference is a multiplied number or divided by. So for instance, if I look down here on number 1, instead of that being plus 1.25 plus 1.25, if it was times 1.25 times 1.25 times 1.25, then that would be exponential. So an exponential is the first difference is multiplied or divided, same number. Okay. If you look at it and you can't find the number that it's multiplied or divided by every single time to get the next number, then it could be other. There is a couple other on your homework and on your assessment, so don't rule out that. So if it's not the four functions we've talked about, then have confidence that you did it right and do other. So let's look at number 4 here. So again, my x values are going up in order in same increments, so I can make this classification. So I'm looking at that. I have from 1/2 to 1. Okay, well that's a half. So if I was going to look at that, that's a half, right? That's 1, that's 2, that's 4, that's 8, that's 32. And my first and second difference aren't going to work there. So I'm like, okay, well, it's either exponential or it's other. I got to figure it out. Well, let me look at this. Well, if I look at this and I notice that 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. And 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. And, because I don't like to do fractions first, I like to save for last, 1/2 times 2 is 1. Okay? So 1/2 times 2 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. All the y values are multiplied by 2 to get the next y value. So that means since it's multiplications involved, okay, so whenever multiplication or division's involved, it's going to be exponential. So number 4 is an example of an exponential function. Okay, so again, what I want you guys to do in your homework now is look back at everything you didn't have classified and say, okay, let me take these tables. Could I multiply the y values by something or divide the y values by something and get the same number? If I can, then it's exponential. If I look at it and say these y values, I can't find anything in common, there's numerous of other functions that we don't talk about in Algebra 1. It could be one of those, so just put other. Have confidence that you know what you're doing. So again, if I'm looking back, number 1 is linear. The first difference was the same. Number 2 was quadratic because the second difference was the same. Number 3 was absolute value because the first difference was the same number 1, but it was positive and negative 1 combination, so it's absolute value. And then number 4 is exponential because you multiply everything by 2 to get that number. So this is number 4. And then other would be other ones that don't classify. So this is actually the last YouTube video of this unit. You've learned everything. So this assignment is due Thursday by midnight. And then on Thursday, you'll get an assignment that'll be due Sunday at midnight. And it's an assessment over everything. Much shorter, just kind of making sure we're good. Okay? If you guys have any questions, log on to Zoom. Have a fantastic day. Talk to you guys later.